Hey everyone, welcome. If you've been following the show for a while now, you may recall a story I shared about a company called Sterigenics and how they're being sued by what could be hundreds of people at this point due to a chemical that was being pumped out of their facilities and into the air and lungs of local residents, which caused them to develop cancer. Well, the Inspector General for the Environmental Protection Agency just issued a horrifying report yesterday explaining that one of Trump's appointees actively hid information from residents near Sterigenics' Willowbrook, Illinois facility. So here's the deal. Bill Wareham was appointed as the Assistant Administrator for the Office of Air and Radiation. So in that position, you would expect him to care about air quality and whether or not people in the United States were being exposed to radiation, right? Well, he remained in that position up until 2019. In May of 2018, a study was conducted to measure the level of ethylene oxide around the Sterigenics facility in Illinois. That's the cancer-causing compound, which I reported on earlier. The following month, in June of 2018, the regional administrator for that area received this report, and he was concerned. He saw there were high levels of ethylene oxide found in the air. So he immediately wanted to publish the findings to make it available for the public. However, Wareham stepped in, and according to the report by the Inspector General, he directed that regional administrator not to release the results publicly. Then 2 months later, so in August of 2018, the regional office for the EPA, which covers the state of Illinois, they posted the findings on their website to warn the public. However, that was only up on their website for about an hour before Wareham also stepped in and directed them to take that page down as well. In addition, the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, made absolutely no effort to meet with or notify the residents of this risk in any other way, although the Inspector General's report didn't clarify why. They didn't say if it was also Wareham who told them not to. They just didn't even touch on it. They simply concluded that, quote, the APA did not act consistently with its mission or guidance on risk communication. Now they're asking for a response from the EPA within 60 days. I mean, luckily, the Trump administration is gone. Otherwise, they would just flip the bird. They would probably just tell them to go screw themselves and never bother to respond. But this isn't the only area affected by this toxin and others like it. In 2019, the Intercept news outlet reported that over 100 census tracts were polluted by ethylene oxide, and the residents in those areas, in those 100 census tracts, faced an increased risk of cancer as a result of that ethylene oxide exposure. So think about that. We're talking about men, women, and children. We're talking about the elderly. We're talking about something that causes cancer. Yet the majority of those communities received zero notification. So why did this happen, and how could Wareham be so callous in regard to this one instance? As they say, follow the money. Prior to his gig in the Trump administration, Wareham was a lobbyist for chemical and oil companies. Coincidence? I don't think so. As I said, he left in 2019, but he only left because the Senate issued a report showing that he was making changes and decisions that would increase air pollution and benefit his former lobbying firm clients. So this is the guy in charge of air quality and radiation. He's supposed to protect us, but instead, he's making decisions that only benefit his former lobbying firm clients, including chemical companies. This is what we all feared, right? When we found out that Trump was filling his cabinet and his administration with industry insiders and people who wanted to tear the whole thing down. And here's the thing, this happens in every administration. This is the revolving door that everyone talks about. I talked about this in my book, in What the Fork, The Secret Cause of Disease. The difference is, though, that Trump claimed to be an outsider. He said he was going to drain the swamp. He told everyone he was going to put an end to this corruption and these revolving doors. He was a fake populist. You know who would have stopped it? Bernie Sanders would have stopped it. He's a true outsider. That's why they hate him. That's why the establishment on both sides of the aisle had to stop him from winning, because these guys count on this revolving door. They rotate from lobbying firms into government positions and then back again. It gives them a foothold in every aspect, in each world, and it ensures them a nice fat contract and salary with these lobbying firms when they're out of government, even when they're out for good, because they still have connections, they still can make phone calls and take meetings and shut down any proposed legislation that's good for us, that's good for we the people, but bad for the corporate bottom line. So they're literally willing to kill us. They're literally willing to kill people to increase or at least maintain their profit margin. And I'm sorry, but Biden is doing the same thing in his administration. He has been better on some policies in some regard than Trump, but I could name quite a few appointments that he's made that where it's the same game. The first that comes to mind is big ag shill Tom Vilsack. Biden put him back in as head of the USDA, the U.S. Department of Agriculture. This is the guy who pushed GMOs, which are tied to just about every illness and disease known to man. And he has a ton of industry connections. And then at the beginning of this month, it was announced that Mark Herrick would be Vilsack's communications director at the USDA. So who is Herrick? He was the senior vice president for a trade group called the International Dairy Foods Association. Prior to that, he worked at the USDA in the Obama administration. Are you seeing a pattern? So this guy, his bread was buttered by the International Dairy Foods Association. Do you think it's a coincidence that almost every packaged food in a grocery store has some form of dairy in it? If you don't believe me, go look. You will find a derivative of dairy in every single thing, every single packaged product, pretty much with a rare exception. And do you think this guy, this Herrick guy, is going to tell you the truth about how dangerous dairy products are and how they cause cancer? Do you think he's going to make sure, or do you think he's going to make sure that dairy is at the top of the graphic again for that ridiculous USDA MyPlate, which used to be the food pyramid? Of course, he's going to continue to push this pus-filled, estrogen-filled, growth hormone-filled, antibiotic-laced death liquid to the masses. This is why you never get to hear the truth. And this is why our disease rates continue to climb every single year. And don't believe their bullshit about how humans are living longer now. As one doctor put it, you're not living longer, you're dying longer. This is why, because greed matters more than anything. It's greed over people. And, you know, I used to say that that's what the GOP stood for, greed over people, but it's on both sides of the aisle. They're constantly placing the needs of their corporate donors ahead of us at every turn. That's what it always boils down to. And that's why I say the number one issue is getting money out of politics. Until we do that, and until we start electing leaders like progressives who truly do want to work for us and only us, and they don't take any corporate money, we're never going to see this change, guys. Our health is going to deteriorate. Our country is going to deteriorate. Income inequality is going to get worse. So we've got to make a change. But anyway, I will let you know if I hear any more on this guy that hid this information from the people in Illinois. And if you know anyone there, please let them know. As always, guys, please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Take care, and I'll talk with you soon.